Hello, it's Jo here, and we have some new findings on the website, and I just want to run you through them in a bit more detail, because when things are brought to life you can see them much better and see how to use them. So we've recently wrapped up a bead along in our free Cranberry Bead Along Facebook group, and the bead along was about finishings. And you can still join that group. I'll put the link in the comments, and there's still a wealth of information there that you can review. So without hesitation, I shall show you some of the new findings that we've got that are on the website now. Excuse the funny lighting here. It's just better to do the video than not do it in the perfect setting, So first off, we have these bolt clasps. So there's 3 sizes, and the rose gold, I've only got it in the large, and I haven't got these other colours in the large. You can't win with findings. You can get some sizes and some colours, but not all sizes and all colours. It just works out that way. So these are nice and chunky to hold on to, so they're not quite so fiddly to undo, and they've got 2 loops on them, which is just a nice feature. So you can attach on this side and also this side, and this side slides like the old style bolt clasps, but these are just much bigger and easier to handle, so that's quite nice. They've got a nice action. You just pull the trigger back. Some are a bit stiff. Oh dear. Always easier to handle these when there's some beadwork attached to it. Anyway, you get the idea. You pull the lever back and they undo. So those are quite nice to add to your beadwork. Not too overpowering, but also not too small, so you can still hold on to them. Now, these clasps here are quite ornate. We're calling these the deco, as in Art Deco clasps. So they are a hook style. So you can see the hook there, and it just clips on. Now, usually the weight of your beadwork will just hold that closed. It's very unlikely that you'd do something to push that right off, but you can just ease that down a bit to make it a bit more secure once it's on. And these have got a very fine, obviously they're the filigree shape and pattern, and they've got a very fine hole at the tip where you attach your beadwork. Okay, so we've got the silver, gold, antique bronze and antique copper in those findings. Next we move on to a range of magnetic clasps. Now we'll do a little test here as well, because the clasps that I had bought in I don't know, maybe a month or 2 ago, were these clasps here, and I've called these strong, and they're strong. Okay, so there are degrees of strength in your magnet clasps, and these are still really, really strong. I've got more supplies on the way because these keep selling out. Okay, so those are the existing ones, but I did have some people say, oh, I want something a bit prettier. So all the magnets clumped together. So I've got these 2 balls, which are a bit more prettier. This is actually a brushed silver. It's hard to see. Silver is always shiny, and this is a black one, just slightly smaller. They both come with jump rings for you to attach your beadwork. Now if I pull these apart, so if I set them apart like this and do a test, I can show you the relative strength, and even just by undoing the really strong one, you can feel it's much stronger. So I'm not saying don't use these less strong ones, but you just need to be aware that if you're someone that knocks things undone easily, I go for the super strong. If you want something a bit prettier, go for these. But they've all got their place. Okay, so you're going to have to watch closely because these are going to zip together pretty fast. So if I all sort of put them about the same distance apart and then gradually move them together, they'll jump together. Okay, so you'll see it happen. Oops. So that happened not too much further than when they were placed apart. Whereas this silver one, see, it's still quite close and it's not jumping together, but I think it's about to. Yeah, there. It's not a scientific test, it's just sort of a visualization. And this one here, see, it's quite close together. So if I go back and show you this one, again, it jumps together when it's further apart. Nope, I couldn't even put them down. I want to jump back to back together. Yeah, so super strong, a bit less strong. Okay, now we have these, which I know Catriona quite liked. So these are also magnet clasps, but they're very pretty. They're rose, described as rose magnet clasps because they are like a rose. 4 colors: gold, silver, copper and antique bronze. Now these are not just a magnet, they have a little cup. I think you can see it quite well there, a little square shaped cup, and so they sort of hop into each other. Now usually your necklaces pull this way and it's quite strong. It's not fully enclosed, but it's quite strong. Not to say they won't flip open if you catch something underneath, but that extra little bit of safety, having the cup there, is pretty good. And I would call the magnet in these is quite small though, so I would call these medium strength for that reason. So they all open the same way. Sometimes they're a bit stronger than you expect. Okay, so those are all quite nice. And then we have this range here. Now this is a smaller one. The inside diameters of these tubes are listed on the website. So if you've got a smaller rope, you need to measure it and see what the diameter is. And don't forget the diameter goes across. You might be measuring the circumference and it goes around. You can do some complicated maths or just Google. There's lots of conversions out there that you can easily do that. Okay, I'll show you the bigger clasps because it's a bit easier to see, and maybe this colour. So you can see that little hook notch there. So the magnet is inside. These are medium strength as well. They don't jump together a super strong way, but you've got that little notch and just put it in and then a little tiny twist, and that would make it really secure. So that's quite good. I think really the magnet is there, it just sort of helps you locate it and then you twist. Okay, so to attach your beadwork to this, you're going to use glue, and I will find the video and add it to this video to show you the demo that Catriona did, Catriona Starpins. She demoed how she glues her beadwork rope ends into these clasps. Okay, so they all work the same. A little slot, twist, black, antique copper, antique bronze. Can't remember if that's silver or antique silver. It looks slightly darker than this one. but that one's a smaller size. I haven't got the sizes to hand here, but they're listed. If you go into the detail of the product on the website, it tells you what the inside diameter is. Okay, so there we are. I will now show you the video that Catriona did on how to glue your beadwork ends into these particular clasps. Okay, I'll leave it to her to finish up.
Hi, Catriona Starpins here. There's been a few questions on the Bead Along group about glues and what kind of things you use for the end caps at the end of a beaded rope. I just want to quickly show you, this is the 5-minute Arrow diet that I use, which I pick mine up from Bunnings. I'm sure some supermarkets may even have it. You can get bulk packs of it too if you're going to be doing a super duper amount of gluing. It comes in a tube. 2 parts. I was just trying to see the volume on the tube. I think I've used so much of it that you can't see the volume on there. But these ones are a 24 ml, and this particular one works as a syringe. So you need equal parts of A and B glue. So this syringe pushes them out equally. And I've brought along one of my ropes. So this is just a chenille stitch beaded rope that I've made with matte black and shiny black beads. I just needed a basic rope to hang different pendants on. I've been trying to finish this for a little while. And then I've got a few different clasps here that I'm going to show you just quickly as well. So this is like an end cap that you might want to glue on the end of your rope. So you can see this one's actually a bit big for this rope. So I probably wouldn't use that. It's got a little bit too much play in it when you put that on. Then there's this kind of toggly one, which is like a glue-in one with a toggle hanging from it. So when you put your beadwork in there, if it sort of is a bit snug to push in, that's probably a good size. That even holds on itself before I've even glued it. So that's ultimate sort of size there for staying in there. This one is like a hook one that we looked on the video with Joanne. And even though it's quite a tapered point, when this glue dries on there, that'll fit in there quite nicely. And then there's this style clasp, which is a magnet that opens like this. It's got a little magnet on there, and that sort of clips together. So this is actually the one that I'm going to use, and the reason I'm going to use this clasp is so that I can thread it through different pendants and things if I want to change the pendant out that I want to wear on this. And it literally just a very simple beaded rope, because the pendant I want to wear on it is what I'll be showcasing when I'm wearing it. So what I've got to do the gluing, and you can see that fits in there already without the glue. It's quite comfortable, so that's a really good size for that. So I'll put these other clasps aside, and what I'm going to use when I'm gluing is I've got a piece of old packaging. It's actually from a little cake from Coles. Works well, save them just to use to put my glue in. And then I've got this popsicle stick to mix the glue together and to apply the glue into the clasp. And this is had a lot of use. I've already broken part of the packaging. You find sometimes after using these glues, the glue wants to glue onto the end of here. So I grab my pliers to pull that off. You can see it's a bit gunky. Anyway, still works a treat. So what you're trying to achieve here is squeezing out equal parts of the glue. You'll find that the hardener side squeezes out at a different ratio, so you sort of got to just wiggle it around a bit till you've got equal. I reckon I've got slightly less of the yellow hardener. Put the lid back on. And mix away. So you notice that this glue, when you're mixing it, actually changes color a little bit. It goes like a frosty kind of milky finish, and that's actually the two resins reacting with each other and starting the process of making it super strong and sticky and then super hard. And mix that around. As it starts to cure, it'll go to a cleary colour again, I try not to get too much on the visible parts of my beadwork because you will see the shininess of it, and you don't need much for this to be super strong. So I've just got a little bit on the end of my popsicle stick. I'm going to wipe a bit on the inside of here. Try and get it on all the surfaces inside there. You can see it's sort of a little bit full at the end there. And I'm also sort of just going to massage this into that end tip of beadwork a little bit. This is going to ooze a tiny bit when we put it together, but I like that it is going to go in between the holes of some of those beads and stick. And then I'm just sort of twisting that. Hopefully you can see, a bit amateur with my videos. You can see it's oozing there a little bit. Bit of a snug fit. Now, with those oozy bits, I'm going to get a good old Huggies baby wipe, and I'm just going to wipe away the residue from the edge there so you can't see any of that residue ooze. Can wear gloves too when you're doing this. I probably should be. And I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to leave that side to dry. And even though it's 5-minute arrow dye and this will be hard in 5 minutes, I tend to leave my glued pieces overnight just to make sure that the epoxy has definitely cured. I don't want to have anything falling apart. So again, another little bit, and you can see that's getting a little bit clearer, the glue. It does have a yellow tinge to it, so be mindful of that if you're working with, I don't know, see-through beads where you might see it a little bit of a yellowy tinge. You can see it sort of oozed over the end of that. I'm going to push it in. Bit of oozy residue there. I'm going to sort of check that the placement of my clasp is where I want it, that the rope's not too twisted. And just wipe that residue. From the edge there. A little bit on the clasp. And then these items I'm going to throw in the bin. So you lose your little container, you lose your popsicle stick and your baby wipe, and that goes in the bin. But that's pretty much glued in, so now I'll just leave that overnight for it to settle. And I did just quickly grab, while that's drying, I'll leave it up here. I did just quickly grab a couple of other pieces of beadwork that I didn't have at Joe's shop yesterday for the video. There's this one here. It's got a little glue-on bead cap. And this is attached to this piece that I made. Sort of hard to get the whole piece in frame and have it up the right way. There's that one. And then a few bracelets and things here. It's a bracelet with little toggle and some end caps. That was a little magnetic clasp sewn on. This one's got a magnetic clasp and some end caps. This clasp has tarnished a little bit, but it's a good example of a glue-on with a toggle. So just undo it so you can see the toggle. And this is a Kumihimo rope that oh no, actually this is crochet, I think. No, this is crochet. This is my one and only ever crochet, because crochet drives me mad. With some beaded end caps on there, and that's a magnetic clasp. And this one here is some glue-in end caps with a box clasp, which are really hard to open. They're quite fiddly. So you've got to have a lot of patience to get that little lever to press down. And the last one I've got is another one of these little ones like this. It just hooks together and that's just glued in just like I showed you with the araldite. Alrighty, I hope that helps you guys finish some of your jewellery, and thank you for tuning in. Have fun. Happy beading. Bye.